You have a class about political economy. Before we even get into what you talk about, can you first explain what political economy is?
Yeah. So, well, I mean, it's going to take at least 4 classes for me to really explain what political economy is. But what I can do instead of providing a definitive definition is I can give you some key questions and points. I mean, for me, for my mind, political economy is concerned with how the production, distribution, and consumption of goods and money affects political and social formations. Full stop. That's sort of a definition that I would put on it. And another definition is not so much a definitive definition, but a question. The question that's at the heart of political economy, which is how people used to refer to economics. And there is a difference. Political economy is concerned with, again, the political and social dynamics of economics and the historical, I would say. And economics itself, as it sort of morphed in the 19th century, became strictly concerned with econometrics and mathematical equations, and et cetera, et cetera. But the question that's at the heart of all of this is an important one to think about. I want to do a thought experiment with you. Is how do we, as a society,
Mm-hmm.
distribute finite goods when there is infinite demand? So the thought experiment that I want to do is imagine you, Jason, are
Mm-hmm.
the king of the world,
Jesus.
and you want to make your people happy, right? You want to stay king of the world. And so the question is, how do you make sure that the distribution of goods or wealth or whatever you want in
Mm-hmm.
your kingdom is equitable? The understanding that the number of goods, the amount of wealth is finite, it's not infinite, right? There's a limited amount of wealth.
Mm-hmm.
How do you distribute it in a way that's going to make everybody happy? And that's sort of the question that's at the heart of political economy. Is that once an economic question, but it's also fundamentally a moral question. It's a question of morality. How do we distribute these things? That's the definition that I would give to political economy. It's a combination of a question and a statement, I guess.
So you're asking me how I would do that?
Yeah, how would you do that?
How would I distribute the stuff? Oh man. Are we talking just like food? Is this generic stuff, widgets, if you will?
Yeah, let's think about food. Let's think about necessities of life, I guess.
I guess I go hungriest first and distribute from there, see who was the hungriest. I don't know. That's just a trick question that I was not prepared to ask.
It's not a trick question. It's a question that people have been contemplating for a very long time, and it's the question that's at the heart of both economics today and political economy of the past. And so, the class that I'm offering, it's a fully online class. There are going to be 5 meetings. Each meeting is going to be 2 hours long.
Mm,
Um, Half of that is going to be lecture with a full presentation and some historical context and a discussion about specific schools as they emerged. And the other half of that is going to be group discussion about shared readings, so that we can like firmly get the ideas of, let's say, the Austrian School of Economics in our minds, and so that we can move forward with them, um, and to help us understand the way that, for example, Jerome Powell talks about lowering interest rates, right? What does that mean? A lot of people don't even know what that means. Or, as you said, deficits, right? These big words that we hear, the S&P 500, a lot of words that people hear that they really don't understand. Maybe they have some notion of it, right? They know that if the S&P is up, that's good. If it's down, that's bad. But on a more fundamental level, as it's related to this question of distribution, consumption, and production, how is it related? And that's sort of the heart of political economy. That's the purpose of the class that I'm offering.
So how do you distribute everything to your kingdom?
There's no definite answer. I mean, so the way that the class is structured is every meeting we're going to cover about one or two schools of economic thought, beginning with what's called the classical school of political economy. This is what most of your listeners are probably exposed to in their American history class, people like Adam Smith, David Ricardo, John Stuart Mill, for example. These are the sort of progenitors of the question: how do you distribute finite goods when in a context of infinite demand, right? And what they are experiencing is the sort of emergence of an altogether new world, right? And I mean new world in the sense that literally their political entities, their nation states, their empires are discovering the new world. They're bringing in massive amounts of wealth that they're extracting from that new world. And then the question becomes, what do we do with all this wealth now? And not only that, but the way that the wealth is distributing itself in places like England, Spain, and in France is clearly there's some people who are benefiting from this more than others. And so the question becomes, well, how do we do that equally? How do we create a system where there aren't any market failures, right? People know Adam Smith is the guy that mentioned the phrase invisible hand for the first time. The classical school is big on the sort of free market, which is tied to this idea of liberalism. But then again, by the middle of the 19th century, you had a series of revolutions throughout Europe in 1848, right? It's the same year that John Stuart Mill publishes his biggest work on political economy. And it's the same year that Marx publishes the Communist Manifesto,
Mhm.
1848. And 1848 was a uprising of the, in a sense, the proto working class, you can call it. So both Marx and Mill are responding to, like, what's going on, right? We have this robust industrial economy that's emerging. We have more wealth than we've ever had, in European history. But and yet there are people that don't have houses. There are people that can't afford their day-to-day living. What's going on? And that's the question that's at the heart of political economy. How can we get this system to work? And so this is the kind of series, the historical context, and the key ideas that we'll be going through in the class.
Sorry.